Welcome back to Prime Arcana, the Scourge Garden Saga. In our last chapter, we met Meryl Silvershine, a young Foxfolk hunter living in the secluded and snowbound village of Silvershine Hollow. Today, we continue her journey with Chapter 0.4 of the Origins arc. As the sun falls behind the towering peaks of the Diremurth Mountains, Meryl watches as a laughing Talia departs hand in hand with Lortho, who carries both of the baskets of fish Talia and Meryl had collected. After a few moments, the pair vanishes from view around the side of Lortho's parents' modest home, leaving only the sound of Talia's delighted laugh to fade in the cool air. Above her head, the Shivervale Borealis shimmers like a godly river of ghosts, winding and weaving through the heavens in hues of emerald, violet, and a deep indigo. Each flicker of light dances as if the unheard breath of ancient spirits are painting secrets into the night sky. As Meryl steps off the creaking ravine bridge, she passes fisherfolk and traders preparing for the evening's festivities. Everyone greets her with a warm smile, a nod, or a friendly wave. It's hard to be in a bad mood when the village is so alive with a quiet hum of festive anticipation. Amongst rustic homes built from time-worn crystal pine, children play between the trees as they chase each other with wild delight. The scent of fresh bread and spiced meat wafts from the village market, mingling with the sharp, earthy tang of freshly hunted game, still warm and glistening with morning frost. So, Meryl, after waking up to spend the first half of her day with her parents and her best friend, what would you like to do? The day is yours.
There's so many options. So I think she will kind of just, make her way through the town, I guess with the eventual goal of getting over here, but she can stop here. She's kind of just doing like a welcome I'm home tour, and she'll just, stop and check in on everyone. So the first place that she would go is to see her grandmother at the elder home.
Okay. Well, as you walk into the elder home, it's hard not to feel awe at the impressive communal hall. It's here where the village's revered elders convene to guide the community's future. Within its walls, a spacious chamber with high vaulted ceilings and large stained glass windows of nature cast colorful patterns on the polished wooden floors. The walls are lined with tapestries depicting the village's rich history, and a large circular table carved from an old silverthorn trunk is positioned in the center. Today, with all the activity, most of the elders are out preparing. The oldest of them, Meryl's grandmother, Elder Bright Eye, is the only one lingering. Wise, calm, and deeply respected by the villagers, Bright Eye has helped guide her people since before Meryl's parents were born. As you enter the long hall, Bright Eye looks up from a very long, very old parchment she's studying, and her eyes twinkle with the wisdom of countless winters.
Granddaughter, come in. It's good to see you.
Meryl is excited. She's been here. She's gotten to see her grandma work and contribute to the town, and she kind of feels like she's visiting a celebrity every time she stops by and she's in the middle of important business. So she grins and says, "Nana, I'm back. I know you're so excited to see me." Oh my goodness.
Of course I'm excited to see you. I've been meaning to tell you how much I enjoyed last month's jerky delivery. What was that again? I can't seem to recall, and I keep telling people to try it. I can't even remember what you called it.
Oh, come on, Nana. It was a giant weasel. Took all 4 of us to bring it down, but we made, 3 months worth of jerky off that thing.
Well, those things taste a heck of a lot better than they look. Damn ugly little creatures.
Yeah, well, we like to take the trash out sometimes too, and glad everybody loved it. Now they won't be getting into people's greenhouses. Good Lord.
You know, it's funny you mention that. Euphordelia Swiftfoot had mentioned that her tomatoes were looking right plum this summer.
Meryl's mouth just starts to water because she freaking loves tomatoes.
I'm gonna tell her I think it's because of you.
Meryl says, "Oh my gosh, that's just knowing I could help those tomatoes ripen makes it all worth it."
When did you get back in?
Last night,
And what have you been doing since?
not too much. Got up probably about 5 hours ago. Saw Mom and Dad and went and saw Talia.
How is that oaf of a father of yours doing?
He's good. You know, the mill's got some problems this morning, but I think it's just its regular, usual crankiness, so.
The mill has had problems for the last 40 years, darling. Don't worry about the mill.
Try telling him that. Every single little sound it makes, he's like, "Oh my god, my baby."
And your mother?
Oh, she's her usual self, playing tricks on Dad. She's been underheating his ham pies in the morning, and
I told her to do that.
Yeah. These kids sow discord in that house. They don't need any help.
It's funny.
Causing problems.
I'm just having fun. They love each other. Don't worry so much, Meryl.
Yeah. No, they're in good spirits. They're excited for the festival.
Oh, yes, tonight is your first one, isn't it?
It is.
And you're going?
I am.
Good.
Are you going?
No. I'll be asleep in the next hour or so, maybe.
That's fair. You have seen your fair share.
Is that your way of calling me old?
No, I'm just sure they get repetitive.
Oh, sweet thing.
Like she just like pats you on the head and like stands up, and the like scroll that's like in her lap just like unfurls like out like super long like across the floor. Like you realize that like this thing that she was reading is like 10 times longer than you thought it was.
Holy crap. You trying to get through this in the next hour?
That's what I've finished. Help me get it back up.
Oh. Okay. Causing me to have a heart attack. And she tries to help her. Meryl reaches down to help roll it back up.
And like as Meryl reaches down, Bright Eye does too, and like Meryl just hears like all her bones just like she's like old as shit.
Stop. I've got it.
Oh.
An angel sent by heaven.
And she like puts her hand like on her side and like turns around and like walks over to the table as you start sort of like gathering the scroll. And go ahead and roll perception for me.
Ooh, it's low.
Okay, very low. So the language that the scroll is written in is not something that Meryl understands. She recognizes it as being written in the Giantine language, the language of the giants, but she cannot read it. She does, however, see that occasionally sparsed out through the writings are different diagrams of very large birds. The birds' diagrams are essentially like placed besides like trees and mountain ranges to like show the bird's size in equivalence to a tree or a mountain. And like as it gets bigger, Meryl sees that like these birds get like as big as dragons.
She's never seen this scroll before? Like this is the first time she's seen anything like this?
Roll a history check for me.
Oh my god.
Okay, so that was a 5. So because it was so low, I'm going to say that, like, no. Like, this is actually something that Meryl has not read about. She never, in any of her history classes that she was growing up, because the kids are taught here. There is, like, a level of education. But, again, they live in such a solitude-type place that most of the history that they're taught is sort of like their own village's history and what it took the founders of the village to get there. They don't even know that much about where the founders came from other than the name of the place, and they sure as heck don't really know anything about she sure as heck doesn't know anything about giant birds.
Okay. So seeing that, she says, "Holy cow, what are those? Oh my god, they're huge."
This? Centennial migration charts. You don't know of rocks? It seems my sisters have failed in their teachings.
No, I've never seen anything like this before.
She goes, well, she kind of like sidles up next to you, and like you guys roll the document out on the table, and she kind of runs her hand along it and walks you through it a little bit, and she says, the rocks are the true rulers of the skies. Imagine a bird so vast it could snatch a giant from the earth as easily as a falcon might catch a hare. Full grown, their wings are like great sails spanning over 200 feet from tip to tip. The beat of those wings stirs storms, and their cries can shake the bones of the earth itself. Like she points to like a detailed sketch of a rock. It's like mid-flight, and its talons, like massive spears, like holding this like elephant that looks like small in its hands. And Meryl doesn't know what an elephant is. She's never heard that word, but she sees an elephant in its claw. And Bright Eye says, they hunt the most fearsome of creatures. Giants, wyverns, even young dragons, if they dare to fly too high. Some believe a rock's feather can be used to craft arrows that never miss. My grandmother once told me of a rock cloak her sister had in the Fairlands before our people came here that allowed her to fly. Imagine. Incredible. She kind of starts folding the parchment back up carefully, her eyes lingering on the sketches, as if lost in old memories or dreams.
Meryl's eyes are huge. So they're real? People have proof that they've seen these? They're real?
I've seen them. Your parents have as well. Every 20 years or so, a small flock of juveniles migrates from the northeastern peaks down to the southwestern divide. They move as if driven by some ancient call, etched into their very bones. Like, you watch as the elder traces a line on the parchment with her finger, following the path of a migration route sketched out among the old, faded notes. I've been trying to piece together their patterns, hoping to surmise when they might next pass by. It's been about 20 years since I think we saw them. Just before you were born. Or, yeah, I think it might have been around that same week. My mind goes. If my calculations are right, though, they will be coming soon. And when they do, it will be a spectacle, my dear.
Wow. That's awesome. I'm going to see all of them.
Hopefully I will, too. Maybe I'll sleep through it. I don't know.
I'll make sure you're awake.
Oh, well, thank you.
Maybe I'll have to ask to be on archery duty so I can keep my eyes on the sky.
Oh, you don't have to do that for me. I'm just teasing.
I'll make sure everyone knows you want to see them. I'm going to let everyone know tonight that it is their duty to make sure that you are up when they pass.
You know what I told your mother about you the other day?
Oh gosh, what?
That you were the best granddaughter ever.
Well, what'd she say?
She said you were the best daughter ever.
Why do I ever leave home?
I don't know.
Meryl will make sure that the whole scroll is rolled up and tightly wound back up so that her grandma can put it away.
And as you kind of like stuff it into its little place, she says,
have you considered what offering you're going to bring to Anorak tonight?
Can I ask what types of things like her family historically brings?
That would be a history. That would be a history.
Jeez, she got a 5.
Okay.
So yeah,
she can't really. She doesn't remember what Kara brought because his first was 7 years ago.
Right, and she has never been.
Yeah, and she doesn't know what her mom and dad brought because they would have brought it a long time ago. So
they just bring it once.
Their first times, yeah. So she's completely at a loss. But I will say that your grandmother notices that upon asking that question, Meryl just basically like glazed off into the distance. She goes, well, whatever it is you choose, the offering must come from the heart. What is it that connects you to our land and our traditions more than anything else? You find that, and you will find your gift.
That's a great place to start. Guess I don't have that much time to figure it out. I'm sure it will be great.
And she goes, well, most of the things that you do are, so I wouldn't be surprised. Plus, gods don't care too much about the individual, so just make sure it matters to you.
What did you bring?
I made a dream catcher, and in that dream catcher, I put little tokens from myself and my marriage to your grandfather, and little pieces from my mother and father, and beautiful little rocks and gems that I'd found, and I decorated it, and I didn't have much, so I did what I could. But I still remember it to this day, so I think it must have meant something to me.
I'm sure it was amazing.
It was glorious.
Well, I guess I better read off and go try to find what I'm gonna take.
Well, before you leave, I could use a favor.
Sure, anything.
Okay.
And she like scoots up off of her thing and she goes,
Okay.
and like walks over to this drawer and opens the drawer and pulls out a little box. And then she turns around and she walks over to you and she hands you the box and she goes,
This box is for Yara. You know how she gets buried in her work and all. Could you take this to her? It'll mean the world to that fuss bucket. You do take after her in that regard. The two biggest warriors in the family.
Yara is Snowseer Yara. She is your father's sister, and she is a priestess.
Of course. I'd be happy to take it over to her.
Thank you, precious.
I won't tell her what you said.
Oh, I don't care if you do. She knows how I feel.
She knows how I feel. Meryl says, well, I'll let you get to it, and I hope you sleep well.
Tell her to stop and breathe once in a while. We all need that, don't we?
Absolutely.
Go ahead and roll a perception for me as she takes the box.
As she takes the box, she got a 16.
When you take the box, Meryl sees that Nana's hand shakes gently with old age.
She puts her hand out, like onto her hand that's still holding Nana's hand that's still holding the box, and kind of pats it. Well, whatever's in here, I'm sure she'll appreciate it very much.
Oh, she will. Now, off with you, Button. I've got to get back to my papers, if I've got any chance of figuring this out. And keep those eyes on the sky.
Meryl nods and walks out.
So, what is Meryl thinking and or feeling in this moment?
Intrigued to learn about rocks. That's pretty cool. She kind of, when she learns about new animals or beings, she always gets really excited. So now she has something that she can like run around and ask older people in the town if they've ever seen them. And she's feeling nervous that she hasn't figured out her offering, because I'm sure that people have been asking her about that like at least once a month all year, because people knew that this was her first year and she managed to procrastinate it till right before. And she's feeling good about just now having this thing to do for her grandma. You know, she likes doing favors for people. She knows she's got to kind of hightail it over there.
So, is she going directly to Yara?
Well, since the twins are like on the way over there, she will go over towards where they're keeping watch. She kind of wants to rub it in that they don't get to go tonight is mostly the aim of popping by there, because she's really excited and she wants to rub it in.
Okay. In the exact center of the village, next to the town's original, currently dilapidated windmill, is the city watchtower. It isn't grand or imposing. The tower's top floor barely crusts above the canopy, and its wooden structure is painted to blend seamlessly with the surrounding homes and trees, making it nearly invisible to any who might approach the village from afar. This tower is more than just a lookout. It's a place of duty and pride, especially for your younger brothers, Win and Finn. The twins, identical in appearance, have taken up the mantle of archers. Well, archer trainees, as they're both still a bit too young for an official village posting. Day after day, they climb the winding stairs to the top of the tower, where they watch over the village alongside Captain Berrytoes and Archer Sparrow's Eye. The more serious of the two, Win often finds himself lost in thought as he scans the horizon, contemplating the responsibility they hold. The importance of maintaining the village's safety is important to him. Finn, on the other hand, is quick to crack a joke or challenge his brother to a friendly shooting competition, and he's just kind of in it because his brother is. Climbing the winding stairs, you step onto the tower's top floor and are greeted by the sight of Captain Berrytoes, slouched in his chair. The old Foxfolk is clutching a near-empty bottle of cider in one hand, waving it about as he slurs his word in a drunken tirade.
I'll tell you, you chew up tight for your own good. Little drink never hurt nobody, especially not on a special night like this.
Across from him, sitting with an air of calm disapproval, is Archer Sparrow's Eye. His lean, tall frame is hunched slightly as he meticulously polishes a set of moonstone arrowheads, their dim glow reflecting off his sharp eyes. Sparrow's Eye barely looks up from his task as he responds, his tone clipped and irritated. It's not about the drink, Captain. If you're too drunk to stand, you're too drunk to shoot, and if you're too drunk to shoot, then what good are you? Captain Berrytoes huffs and tries to sit up straighter, but the effort is quickly abandoned as he sways in his seat and takes another swig from the bottle.
Ha! I've been shooting arrows longer than you've been alive. Don't need your lectures on discipline. Not from a bad paw like you.
Sparrow's Eye. Sharp gaze softens slightly when he notices you and slaps Berrytoes on the foot. He gives a nod in your direction for the older man to look. Berrytoes struggles to focus, his drunken scowl turning into a sloppy grin when he sees you.
Come to join us in the tower, have you? Hunt gotten too tedious, has it?
And Berrytoes slurs all of his words, sort of tumbling together.
She says, never. I mean, come on, I have to be able to shoot to do my job too. Just have a little bit more range of skills to get it done. Just looking for my brothers.
Haughty Meryl. He just takes another drink. Just like your mother.
Sparrow's Eye is your brothers are upstairs. It's good to see you, Meryl.
It's nice to see you too. And then as she's walking past him, she says, hopefully quiet enough for the other guy not to hear, to say, you sure do put up with a lot.
That's definitely going to be a roll what would I say? That's going to be performance.
Performance. Ooh, she got a 9.
Berrytoes hears it and laughs out loud. He looks at Sparrow's Eye and he goes, you know what your problem is? You're too serious. All of you youngins just too serious. He just drinks from his bottle.
She rolls her eyes and walks upstairs.
And Sparrow Eye's she's not here to listen to us bicker.
I don't care why she's here.
As she's going up the stairs, Sparrow's Eye goes, they've got good instincts, those two. You should be proud. And thanks for that last package of food, by the way.
She says, oh, I'm always proud. And you're welcome. And flicks her tail and keeps on walking.
As you climb the stairs to the perch, you can already hear the low murmur of your brother's voices above, carried on the crisp night air. The perch at the very top of the tower is a small, open space, just big enough for 2 or 3 people to sit comfortably, while keeping watch over the village and the surrounding forest. When your head crests the edge of the perch, you find Win and Finn deep in conversation. Finn is leaning against the wooden railing, his bow resting casually at his side, while Win is crouched low, peering through the scope of his bow as if already lining up a shot. Win talks louder. Anyone can get lucky twice. Besides, it's not about the arrows, it's about the stance. You saw how I lined up the shot. It was perfect. You're just jealous that I got closer to the bullseye than you, like I always do. Closer? You missed by a mile. If you just listen to me and adjust your grip, like Wynn interrupts, my grip is fine. It's this damn bow you carved that's off. You always blame my technique because you don't want to admit this thing is worn out. You should get rid of it and carve a new one. I've hit more targets with this bow than you've even tried to hit. Meryl carved me that bow. I'm never getting rid of it. Besides, it's not the bow. Wynn smirks. I'll bet you half of my rations for the next week you can't do it again. Done! Finn shoots back. As the two continue to exchange playful insults, they see you step up onto the perch. Meryl! Finn exclaims, straightening up and giving her a cheerful wave. Mom said you were back!
Yeah, I got back last night. How's it going?
And,
Doesn't seem like you guys have very much supervision up here.
why
Like
would we need
playfully
supervision? Says Finn.
I don't know.
It's our
I just
job.
heard- It's our job. I don't know. You're just not acting very professional up here. I can hear you arguing all the way up the stairs.
Wynn goes, what does arguing have to do with not being professional? We were specifically arguing over the type of bow that we're using and how to more properly shoot the shot.
Just saying.
And Finn
You
goes,
want to be careful what you talk about.
well, what I was just talking about was how I'm getting better at long-range shots than you are. Might even be ready to take your spot on the hunt soon.
Is that so?
Yeah, it is so. I've been practicing a lot. And he stands up. He goes, Sparrow's Eye says my aim's getting sharper every day. I'm telling you, you're not the best archer in the family anymore. Finn rolls his eyes and he goes, he's been going on about this since you left.
She says, you want to prove it?
Shoot off. You, you and me.
This is fine.
Well, don't expect me to go easy on you just because you're my sister, okay? I'm going to crush you.
I can't wait.
And he gives you a wink and then points out 3 empty bottles and lanterns that they'd been using as targets. And they're at varying distance, spread out into the trees, with the farthest one nearly obscured by the darkness of the forest beyond. Go ahead and roll a perception for me. As they're also all varying heights, some near eye level, high up towards the canopy, and some hidden low down near the frosty earth.
She got a 10. This is not she's tired, okay? It's her first day home.
They're easy to see. They're colorful. They're colorful glass bottles. I mean, they're pretty easy to see. And Finn says, the rules of the shoot-off are simple. There are 3 targets. Close range target. You see that purple one there, 20 feet away. There's a mid-range target, the lantern swaying in the breeze, 40 feet away. And there's a long-range target, that bottle in the bushes, and 60 feet away. Both of us will have 1 shot per target, making 3 shots in total. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Would you like to go first, sister, or would you like me to go first?
Go for it. I want to see what I'm actually up against instead of you just bragging about stuff.
Okay. So he rolled a 7. Wow. He shot at the closest target and he needed a 10 to hit it and he rolled a 7. So Meryl watches him talk all that shit and he pops out his short bow and aims at the closest one and shoots and lets an arrow fly and it soars through the air and just misses by 2 feet.
Wow. You sure you want to keep going?
That was a warm-up. We said we got 3 shots. Finn's do you want to go before he takes the other 2 shots or do you want him to take all 3?
She says she'll go. They can do short, medium, mid, long, I think.
Okay. You want to get at least a 10.
She got a 15.
Well, go ahead and describe what happens when her arrow hits the short thing.
It hits and she doesn't make a single sound. She just slowly turns her head to look at him. Then she raises her eyebrows at him.
He doesn't even look at her. He just immediately strings another arrow and like shoots it off. And that is a 15. So he needed for the medium mid-range target was an AC 15. So he hits the lantern, and Meryl watches as it explodes. He like smiles and he goes, "Tied. You better get this last one." There's only one left. It's an AC 20. You have 2 attacks. He only has 1. Check your character sheet. There might be something that you could use to push this over.
Yeah, I was gonna. The luck is for d20s. Spend 1 luck point to give yourself advantage.
Boom.
Oof.
What happens when you roll an advantage is that you roll 2 d20s and you choose the higher of the 2. So you rolled an 8 and a 6. So we would take the 8.
That's way too low.
It is way too low. So that first shot just goes way off, just into the trees, like shoof, like off into the trees, like not even close to the ground.
She says, "It's because you started a fire. You can't even see." And then she tries to shoot again.
Oh shit.
Got a 22.
And she needed a 20. So when the arrow hits the glass bottle on the ground and explodes, what is her initial reaction?
Oh, thank God, because these little baby boys can't beat her in this game because this is like literally her job.
And so as she's feeling that, Finn goes, "Ah, no fair! We were trading turns back and forth. You just took 2 in a row. That's so messed up. You cheated."
You blew up the second target. What was I supposed to do? Go ahead.
I told you.
Take your shot.
There's nothing to shoot at anymore. You destroyed it. Way to do what you always do, Meryl. Ugh, cheater. Wynn is like, all right. Calm down. Finn's like, no, there's going to be a rematch. He sets his bow down and like just huffs down the stairs to go like collect more bottles and like take them down to like start setting them up like around sort of the same areas. He's like, we're going to do this fair. You set the rules. You said back and forth. And then at the end, you take 2. Typical Meryl. He's just like dipping down the stairs.
Does he act like this when you beat him too?
Well, to be fair, you did take 2.
She rolls her eyes. He blew the second one up. What was I supposed to do?
And you blew the third one up before you got a chance. So you're both kind of assholes. It's a tie. Shocker.
This is whatever.
How was your time out in the wilderness? Did you have as much fun as you did last time?
Yeah, they just, get better and better. Except this time the cart broke.
Oh.
So things got a little derailed, but it's okay.
Well,
we persevere.
Did you guys just like drag the caribou back? How did that even work out? Like that's great.
We didn't even manage to get a caribou because of it. So we had to kind of change tact, and we got a bunch of boar, lots of rabbits, some pheasants. It'll be good. It's going to be a little bit different this year, but you can only take what nature provides.
I wonder what Aunt Yara's going to think about that. She's been talking about caribou for the festival for weeks.
Well, she's wants it so bad she can go out and get it herself.
Oh, yeah, you tell her yourself. You tell her that yourself. See how that goes.
No, I would never. Come on.
And then, like, at that point, you see that Finn is about halfway back. And, like, he does the thing where he, like, points 2 fingers to his eyes and then, like, points them, like, up at you. Have you ever thought about, like, maybe leaving? Caro did it. And, like, he came back. But you've never really talked about it. Have you ever thought about going out beyond the trees?
I mean, I've thought about it. I think most people our age generally think about it, but there's still so much to see around here. I mean, every time I go out with the party, it's kind of, things are always changing. The snow melts and it freezes and it snows again, and the landscape always looks different. So, I mean, I've got plenty of adventure here, but maybe. What about you? You thinking about taking off?
I don't know. Maybe one day. And then at that point, Finn steps up onto the platform that you guys are at. And he goes, round 2.
Fight.
Yeah.
Okay, you can go first again. I won't jump the line this time.
You better not.
Cross my heart.
He got a
She steps
4.
She steps back. Like she's like steps all the way back.
He got a 4. So he
Oh, he's
desperately missed the shortest the thing. It just flies off into the sky. You can't see his cheeks reddening, but you can smell it.
Okay, she's gonna try to hit it without her luck. She got a 15
He
on the short.
stomps his foot when it shatters and fires his second bow at the middle one.
Oh shit, he's going for it.
And it explodes. The bottle in the midway explodes. Just, and he's like, yes! The same thing happened. We're tied, Meryl. Don't cheat.
Oh, she got a 16.
And he looks at you and like without aiming, like he like locks it in on the aim for the last one. And then because he's a Foxfolk as well, he also has lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't even matter. Even if he rolls an 8, that's still only a 13. So it flies off, and he's like, dang!
There's nothing about her that's like gloating. She just kind of she focuses and takes her aim and she fires. And she misses spectacularly.
Wynn goes, ha! See? You're not better than me. We're at least the same. We're at least equal. I got better. I told you I got better. I'm just as good as you are now.
And she says, yeah, you did get better.
Well,
Wynn, how about you take a shot at this last one?
well, thank you. And he kind of like immediately visibly relaxes. And then Wynn shoots the bow and misses entirely. And then shoots it again and misses entirely. And then shoots it again and misses entirely. He just shrugs and he goes, that last one, I think you might have put that one a little too far out, Finn. And Finn's like, no, it's the same distance. And you look out and it's like 7 miles away.
I was gonna say, like, he was mad.
Yeah,
He
it
was
does.
real mad.
It does like an extreme rack focus, like in the movies where like you look out and it's just like, and the fucking zoom is like easily like way, way, way too far. And he just kind of shrugs.
She says, well, that's something to work up to, I guess.
I'm going to say Finn shoots one more time at it after she says that. That's a natural fucking 20. He just rolled a natural fucking 20 after she said that. And he goes, boom!
He earned it. He earned it. So she like gives a big whoop and like jumps up and down and throws her arms up in the air. Like takes his shoulders and is like shaking him and is like, what, you did it?
He's like, I told you. And like Finn and like Wynn both like knuckle pound each other. And then like Sparrow's eye comes up and he goes, what's going on? Everything okay? Finn's like, no, the far one. And he's like, you got the far one? And he's like, I got the far one. And Sparrow's like, good job.
Meryl says, well, I think I'm off. Don't wear yourselves out too much. And she goes to leave.
And Wynn's like, where are you going?
I got stuff to do.
And Finn's like, what stuff? You gonna go see Talia? And Wynn goes, shut up about Talia.
I already saw her.
Oh.
She's fine.
Did you tell her we
You know,
said
she's hanging
hi?
out with I did.
Okay.
You know she's hanging out with Lortho these days?
Yeah, Lortho's the shit. Lortho's awesome.
Yeah, well. Nana gave me a mission. I gotta go take care of it.
Ooh, big special lady with Nana's special mission. What has she got you going off to do?
She wanted you to know she would asked you to do it. And then she like flicks her tail and
And
walks
Wynn is
out.
like, ooh, burned. And as she walks out, Sparrow's eye gives her like a wink. Like, hey. good job, you got him. Like that kind of wink, like, because he spends a bunch of time with him too, so he's like, hey, fucking yeah.
Yeah. She grins at him.
So as she leaves,
And
go ahead and describe what she does when she gets out of the watchtower and where she is headed on next to her journey.
She is gonna go drop the box off.
As you approach the Winter Worship Grove, your eyes drift up to take in the massive Winter Worship Stone, a natural rock formation that commands reverence.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
The stone towers over the grove, with a shape resembling a colossal star with outstretched, welcoming arms, as if it seeks to embrace the very essence of winter. Many places across the surface of the stone are etched in intricate carvings, scenes of ancient lore depicting the spirits of winter and the gods who protected the land. Crisscrossing the stone like veins are lines of glowing prism stone, as if the very lifeblood of the earth flows through this sacred monument. Icicles, long and slender, hang from the outstretched arms of the stone, sparkling like crystalline chandeliers. Each icicle catches the light of the Shivervale and reflects it in a dazzling array of colors, turning the grove into a natural cathedral of light and ice. Offerings from the villagers are carefully placed around the base of the stone. Pine cones, feathers, and carved idols are among the gifts for Anirak, the goddess of winter. The offerings are arranged with great care and reverence. The scent hits you first, a tantalizing blend of smokiness and sweet earthiness. Around fires, snow seers work with quiet, practiced grace, their hands moving over fresh salmon that you and Talia caught, that have been laid open on broad, flat stones. The snow seers brush the salmon with a glaze made from crushed crystal pine nuts that sparkle like crushed glass. As the glaze drips over the fish, it caramelizes on contact, creating a glossy, crackling crust that glows faintly in the firelight. Meryl stands frozen in her tracks, salivating. She can't help but watch the salmon sizzle as it cooks. The snowseers flip the fillets with delicate care, ensuring each piece is cooked just right, crisp on the outside and succulent within. Unlike the snowseers preparing the cinder nut sushi, your aunt, snowseer Yara, moves around the massive stone, preparing for the night's gathering. She occasionally pauses to place her hand gently on its surface, as if drawing strength and wisdom from the ancient rock. Other holy women follow her lead. Upon spotting Meryl, Yara's eyes light up. "Ha ha! I wasn't sure you'd be joining us. The preparations are coming along beautifully, aren't they?" And she gestures to glistening decorations and harmonious activity all around you.
They are. Wow. Looks amazing. She's giddy. This is very exciting. And the evening is approaching.
It is good to feel your presence. You've returned on a day the Shivervale has been particularly bright and lively. I think it's a sign of Anirak's favor.
We can only hope.
Have you had a chance to contribute to the festival preparations, or have you been laying around all day enjoying the fruits of your hunt?
She snorts and says, "Actually, I kind of showed Talia up a little bit with catching salmon. So I guess you could say I contributed twice."
I heard she and Lortho dropped these baskets off earlier, and it appears that you brought in quite the haul, doing double duty this year as both hunter and fisherwoman. I'm not surprised at all, to be honest. That's quite an offering in and of itself, if you ask me.
Meryl smiles because I get the feeling that Yara is pretty, I don't want to say withholding because that's not the word I'm looking for, but very when she says things, she means them.
Oh, yeah.
And so she doesn't say things that she doesn't mean. She doesn't give compliments lightly either.
No.
So
her head is with the gods.
Yeah, so Meryl's pretty humbled by that. She feels oh my gosh. my contributions matter.
And
she doesn't say that out loud, but that's like, she's excited.
no, I mean, Yara is like legitimately proud that like on Meryl's first festival night, she was able to like contribute in like these two massive ways, like for sure. But also not surprised whatsoever.
I like feeling useful.
Well, your mere presence here is already a blessing, but if you'd like to be more useful, you're welcome to join us in adorning the grove, if you so wish.
Absolutely. But first I have something for you.
Oh?
She reaches into her little backpack, and pulls the box out that Nana gave her.
And she takes it from you, and she says, thank you. What is it? Is it a gift?
It's from Nana, but she didn't say what it was, and I didn't ask. You know how she doesn't like when people get a little too into her business.
And she goes, well, that sounds like quite a mystery. She like clicks the little latch and the box pops open. Does Meryl try to see what's inside?
She's watching Yara's face to see like how serious the moment is, because she's feeling very like she doesn't want to step on Yara's toes. She respects her, so she's just kind of watching her face
And
instead of creeping on the box.
roll a perception for me.
She got a 25.
Yeah, that's a real good roll. So as Meryl watches Yara open the box, she sees, this is her aunt, so she's known her entire life. So she sees the minutia of, facial movements that others who don't know Yara as well might not. And it's just this immediate sense of like nostalgia and appreciation and something that she hasn't thought about in like a very long time. And she just kind of like smiles as like she's looking down in at it.
Okay, with that, Meryl will say, what is it?
Roll a charisma check for me.
Oop. An 11.
That's fine. You only needed a 10. She kind of tilts the box. It's a silver bracelet made of two sort of intertwining metal rods. And within those metal rods is wrapped the stem and very dried old flowers of 3 different colored roses. And so it's like 3 roses wrapped into a bracelet. And she smiles and she goes, "This was my offering to Winter all those years ago. I thought I'd lost it. She kept it all these years. Our family brought this from the Fairlands. It's hundreds of years old. And like the roses, though wilted, have not fallen to dust."
Meryl's in awe, because that's very meaningful. She says, wow. Why do you think she returned it today?
I don't know. It was 20 years ago. My first time. The year you were born, actually.
When I was there, she told me about rocks. Do you remember seeing them when they flew over? She said they're probably due pretty soon. That was also 20 years ago.
I do. It was on one of our very few sunny days. They're massive, beautiful creatures. Of course, they were very high in the sky, so they looked little, but you could tell, even from the ground, that had they decided to fly down here, we would have been like ants to them. Or at least squirrels. She kind of like looks up at the shiver veil, remembering.
Wow. Meryl kind of like gazes up where she's looking, because she's getting more and more excited to hopefully see these giant birds. Then she kind of looks back at Yara and says, so what can I help with?
And she closes the box and she puts it in her little like bag that's hanging on her hip, and she turns over to this table that a whole bunch of other sort of older snowseer women are also like collecting, different kinds of sort of crystalled barbs and ice designs that people have carved and made into essentially ornaments that like they're hanging up into all of the trees around the stone. And as you look around, you see that there's just like hundreds of like glittering, twinkling ice and crystal carvings just like draped along all of the tree branches around you, like just Christmas trees just everywhere. She goes, "Pick a tree, darling."
Hanging ornaments, yeah. She's going to look for, I was going to say, maybe the closest one that hasn't, like, nobody's around. Like, she wants to find one that's, like, just so she can just do it kind of quietly out of the way. But it's kind of like maybe like a little baby tree. Maybe one that's clearly younger than the other trees that are around and huge, and it's kind of perfectly shaped in that really classic Christmas tree shape where it's wide at the bottom and very pointy at the top, but she'll be able to like reach putting the star on the top of it or whatever she ends up putting on the top of it without, having to climb all the way up the tree. It's like a little pint-sized one. Like
And as you're doing that, or as Meryl's doing that, Yara starts sort of decorating one of the trees that is like very nearby that, within at least close enough to, be in like talking range.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, "You've been away from the village lately more often than not, out there in the gloom. Tell me, have you been singing your songs? Have you continued to praise Anirak out there in her domain?"
I think that given how things have gone tonight and how clearly she has respect for her aunt, who, like, she only has brothers, so I'm feeling like she's got, a sense of kinship with Yara.
Okay.
I think that she would definitely have that reverence and respect.
Mm-hmm.
So she'll say, "I don't necessarily sing my songs in front of the rest of the group, but I always make sure to be thankful and grateful and, explicitly appreciate each and every bounty that we receive. I thank the animals and I thank Anorak during the day when something significant happens."
Good. I was worried you might start believing the tales of that mad, wild hunter you follow.
And in this place, like, because there's no magic, they're not like communing or talking to their gods specifically, right? It's like,
well, Yara is, but she never hears back.
Yara is.
She never hears
Okay.
back. It's like the
Yeah,
real
yeah, yeah.
world. It's just like the real world, like where people
Okay.
talk to God, but
Meryl says he doesn't impose his beliefs on us. I mean, he does talk about them openly, but there's no force there.
I'm glad to hear that. His devotion to the god of the hunt is well known. And don't get me wrong, Melgrave is a fierce god of wild places, of blood and bone. He has his place in the world, but he does not offer the same comfort or serenity Anirak brings. Our people worship the guardian of winter's stillness because she cradles our village, protecting us from the harshness of the world beyond. I must ask, before you participate with the faithful this evening in our grove, do you still honor Anirak in your heart as you always have?
She doesn't hesitate. She says, "Yes, of course."
Good. And it's not my place to judge nor tell you which path to walk, but our traditions are not just rituals. They are the threads that bind us to our ancestors and fate itself. Whatever path you choose, just do so with a heart full of purpose and a mind clear of doubt, and I'll be happy.
Meryl considers the weight of the words and feels like especially in this space, like it's impossible, I think, to deny the impact of like what they believe to be true, the reason that they're able to survive and thrive in this place. And every year they have their festival, and then they're, rewarded with bounty and hunt like game and safety and prosperity. So she has no reason to doubt what Yara's saying.
And she steps back and her hands fall to her side and she goes, Anirak's blessings aren't to be taken lightly. She is here now, with us. She always is. And the grove around you is quiet. You only hear the sound of gentle rustling wind through the trees. As she goes, Meryl, do you know why tonight is special?
To give, to give thanks and appreciation for the past year and to honor, the goddess for the next year.
She's like, you got it. Just wanted to double check. And then the quiet rustling of footsteps kind of draws both of your attention as this small group of village women, arms laden with decorations and baskets overflowing with freshly gathered mushrooms, approaches. They both greet you and Yara with warm smiles. One of them is Kirky Draftstone, who carefully sets down a basket of mushrooms beside the winter worship stone. Yara, we've brought the special offerings for tonight. They're a bit more potent than the last few years. And turning to wink at you, she adds, you first-timers are going to have a hell of a night. You're not going to forget it. And Yara says, thank you, sisters. And then turns to you and she goes, visiting with you has been a blessing, but I think it's time for me to refocus. I hope to see you tonight. And she kind of turns to tell you that she's about to head off with these women, but is waiting to see what you were about to say. I hope you'll stay to finish the tree.
Meryl says, of course, I never quit a job halfway through. And then she kind of turns serious and says, I will see you tonight.
I'll see you tonight. You watch as Yara picks one of the larger mushrooms out of the basket and pops the cap off, and it's just bright blue on the inside. Wonderful. I'll get the brew going immediately. And you watch as they turn off to go make mushroom tea.
Oh gosh, she's getting a little nervous. Never done strong batch. She's a little worried. She's feeling a little nervous, a little anxious. She's feeling excited, and she feels safe. This is something that people do every year, and she's excited for her opportunity to participate, especially given the compliments that Yara gave her about her contributions. Yeah, she feels good. She finishes the tree for sure.
Okay. And after finishing the tree, what would she then like to do?
She might swing by the market before she goes home, but she wanted to go see Caro at the sensorium to just kind of check in. She's she's kind of decided that because she's been gone for 11 days and other people have had the opportunity to kind of be part of these preparations, that it's her turn to get her little sneak previews. So the last one is the sensorium.
Okay.
Check in on him. See, because also he's the last person to that she needs to talk to kind of hype her up about how it's gonna go.
Okay, that makes sense.
He's done it. He's been through this.
Totally.
And she can check in with him about her offering and stuff.
Okay.
See what he did.
As you make your way through the village, the sounds of laughter and conversations grow louder, pulling you to the heart of the village, the sensorium. The multifaceted lodge stands proudly amidst the snow-covered landscape, its warm lights glowing invitingly from within. The structure is a blend of rustic charm and subtle elegance, with wooden beams supporting the roof and intricate carvings decorating the entrance. The sensorium is where the village people come to celebrate, relax, and connect. The lodge is divided into 3 distinct sections, each with its own unique atmosphere.
Ooh, okay. That's cute.
The first section that everyone enters into is the Quick Paw Brewery, which is a cozy little tavern. The interior is warm and inviting, with sturdy wooden tables and chairs arranged around a large, crackling fireplace in the center, which is built down into a pit. The walls are adorned with tapestries, and along one wall, Brewmaster Kian stands behind the bar, with a broad grin and a twinkling in his eye as he welcomes anyone who enters. You look around and see that there's about 12 people lounging around, drinking, sitting at the bar, sitting at tables. And Kian is a stout foxfolk with a thick, bushy tail and fur that seems to shimmer. He's in his element, pouring drinks and sharing a hearty laugh with patrons. His jovial nature is contagious. And the room is filled with the sound of clinking mugs and cheerful banter of people preparing and pre-gaming for tonight. Ah! Meryl! Kian calls out as he spots you, his voice booming across the room. Come in! Come in! You look like you could use a warm drink. How about a mug of my finest spiced cider mead? It's perfect for a time like this.
She will happily take a glass, and she says, thanks, that's just what I need. I've been out decorating a tree for the last half hour.
And the scent of the mead fills your nose as Kian pours you a mug. And he goes, so selfless of you. First, you bring in all of the food, and then you help decorate the village. And he kind of like gives you like a sarcastic wink. And then goes, on the house. Solstice Festival always brings out the best in everyone. Glad to hear you've been busy. He hands it to you and goes, tell me what you think. I tried a little twist on this one. Can you guess what it is?
She will try it, and she will try to figure out what the twist is.
Roll an insight for me.
Sweet. Ooh, she had a 12.
She's not 100% sure. It's something familiar, but she can't put her finger quite on it.
He stumped me again. I never win at this game, but God, it's good.
He leans in and he puts his hand up to his muzzle and he goes, it's sugar time.
Delicious. She says, I think you've outdone yourself.
Really?
It's the best batch yet.
You like it even more than the last one?
She's being serious, yeah. Yeah, I do. This is incredible. People are going to get pretty lit on this, I think.
Well, that's very kind of you. People have been generously pretty positive about it. I think the smell is my favorite part. And he goes, he like breathes it in like from his own kind of like mug as he takes like a big drink of it and there's froth all across his lips.
What else do you have to do to get prepared for tonight?
Well, and he like kind of like nods over his shoulder into the back and Meryl sees that there's these 3 just massive casks, like wooden casks of ale, these huge barrels that are like 10 feet tall, probably 10 feet wide. Each of them would probably store roughly, 500 gallons of ale. And he goes, I just finished filling the last one up earlier today. It's been an endeavor going on for almost the last 2 weeks. So we are pretty much fully tapped for tonight. I had 2 casks for the last 10 years, but after the debauchery of the last couple years, I just figured we needed to bring in a third cask, and, well, that one took a little bit longer to fill up than I thought it would, but we made it. And, like, you look back, and it's just these 3 massive kegs of ale, just so much alcohol.
She says, well, don't tell anyone, but I heard the mushrooms are extra strong this year, too.
And he grins and he goes, ooh, I'm going to sell so much alcohol tonight. Your brother's in the back. He's got a whole speech prepared he's been working on. I've heard bits and pieces. It's pretty good.
She nods and says, lifts her glass and says, thanks for the drink. I'll be back. And then she heads in that direction.
And he goes, next one's not on the house.
She waves her hand back at him. Over her shoulder.
Roll a perception for me.
14.
All right. As Meryl turns to head deeper into the building, she notices the familiar chubby face of the short-statured Lortho Goldwhisker peeking out at her from the sensorium's entranceway. What does she say and or do?
He's peeking.
He's fucking peeking.
Did he see her see him?
Roll an insight for me to see if she understands if he saw her see him.
Oh, 6.
She has no idea. Because the second after she saw him peeking, he disappeared. His head was like blip, like back around outside the doorway.
He's spying. Is she gonna walk past him to get where she's going, or is it like a different direction?
She would take a right to go to Caro and a left for Lortho because that's the direction she came from. Like, he's in the doorway of the main sensorium doorway.
Okay. Okay, well, she's gonna turn around and walk towards where he just disappeared.
Okay, so, well, when she gets to the doorway, she sees that he's roughly about 5 to 6 feet off to the side, sort of pacing back and forth, mumbling to himself under his breath and, like, trying to, like, psych himself up.
She's gonna walk up to him.
He's like, "Ah! Meryl!"
What are you doing?
I wanted to talk. I wanted to talk to you.
Talk to me.
Mm-hmm. And
Well, then why'd you run away?
Well, Talia said you didn't like me so much, so
I mean, I do have several distinct memories of you trying to dunk my head into the river, but...
Well, exactly. So I didn't want you to think I was sneaking or spying or, I interrupted you or be a bother or anything, So he, like, rings his paws together and his gaze is kind of, like, darting around. There's not really any trace of a bully here. He's just this, like, kind of jittery, sweet-natured man who's clearly uncomfortable.
She says, she kind of laughs. She says, okay, well, what do you want to talk about?
Well, like, fidgeting with his tunic, he kind of glances around to make sure that no one's listening before he kind of, like, leans in closer, and you hear his voice drop down to a whisper that would be conspiratorial if it just, like, wasn't filled with so much earnestness. And he's like, I actually wanted to ask your advice about Talia. You're her best friend, so I thought you might know. I've been thinking of getting her a gift for the festival, but I don't want to get it wrong, which I have in the past, some things, and she deserves something perfect, Yeah.
She raises her eyebrow at him. She says, hell, I think she's just going for it. She's just going to say, well, I mean, Talia's already crazy about you, so I don't think you can give her anything that's going to upset her.
And
she kind of...
His face, like, lights up, and you see his tail wag a little bit.
Oh, his tail. She thinks for a second, like, what would Talia want or like? And she asks him...
You're going to want to get her a flamethrower.
Yeah. A bomb.
Yeah.
Does Meryl know what Lortho's, like, family's trade is?
She would know. And I would say that, like, his dad is a leather worker and most often fixes shoes for people around the village.
Okay.
Leonardo's Leathers.
Leonardo's Leathers. So she looks at him and she says, this one time when we were little, I found these 2 rocks in the woods and they looked just like each other. Like, it was like one rock had a baby and it was a twin of its own. Like, they were identical. And I gave one to Talia and I kept one and I said, these are our friendship rocks. She carried that thing around with her. She probably still has it in her pocket. I mean, she loved it. I think if you get your dad to make you guys matching bracelets, oh, she would die.
The whole time that she was talking, his mouth was just, like, growing more and more agape as his, like, eyebrows were, like, raising and raising more, and his, like, head was, like, nodding more and more. And then he goes, that's perfect, thank you. I think I know exactly what to do. And thanks for talking to me. That was a really good idea, Meryl. I know I wasn't always Well, nice, but I promise I'm trying to do better. For Talia and for everyone. Thanks.
You're welcome, but I'm watching you. And she looks down at him and narrows her eyes.
His eyes he goes from a smiling, jovial face to an immediately as his eyes get all big, and then she just watches him scurry off, and looking back kind of over his shoulder cautiously back at her.
She yells I'm joking, at his retreating form.
Roll a charisma check for me.
Oh, she's scarred him for life. 14.
Okay, he smiles back. He's like, eh.
Oh, I love him. She was being honest. She thinks Sally's gonna friggin' die. She's gonna love it. And then she's gonna laugh to herself. She's gonna chuckle, and she's gonna walk back the other way. Find her brother. Still looking for Caro.
Well, after she passes back through the Quickpaw Brewery, she enters the worship room. By passing through a set of heavy embroidered curtains, that Meryl walks into a quieter, more intimate space. This is a tent set for sapphic worship. The tent, with its rich, vibrant colors and intricate designs, was once a part of a traveling elven carnival. It was stolen long ago and repurposed by the villagers. It is here you and those of your age will begin the run for the orgy after stripping down and giving praise to nature at the Winter's Worship Grove. As you pass through the room, you notice that the air is filled with the scent of incense and fresh flowers. Soft cushions and rugs cover the floor, and the walls are adorned with symbols of Anirak, as well as those of the lesser goddess of love and fertility, Valera, the luxuriant heart. Already, some villagers have gathered to quietly meditate and make love. As you take in the scene, you feel a sense of peace and belonging wash over you. The sensorium is not just a place, but a reflection of your culture. Just beyond the worshipping room, the lodge opens up into its largest space, a grand village theater. The center circular stage is modest but well crafted, with an overhang painted to resemble the starry night sky and the towering silver-leaf trees that surround the village. Rows of wooden benches face the stage, each one worn smooth by years of eager audiences. Performer Dania is at the center of it all, directing a group of younger Foxfolk in the final rehearsals for tonight's performance. Her voice is clear and melodic, carrying effortlessly across the room as she instructs them on their lines and movements. No, remember, you need to project. The audience needs to feel the emotion in every word. You're not you, you're Cicero, so be Cicero. Yes? As Meryl steps further into the theater, she catches the eye of her older brother, Caro, who is busy going over a script. Caro, with his reddish-brown fur and an easy, charismatic smile, is the epitome of a bard. His eyes light up when he sees Meryl, and he immediately breaks into a wide grin. Well, look who it is. Wandered in from the darkness. My favorite sister. The star of my heart. And he puts his script down and stands up.
She takes a big flourishing bow. Oh my god, look at him. She takes a bow. She sticks her tail up in the air, does a little wiggle and stands back up.
And he strides over to you and grabs you and pulls you in for a quick affectionate hug, and steps back and, continuing to grab your arm, pulls you over to a table. On it are two different dresses. One is a silvery green and the other blue with dark crimson inlays. I can't decide which I want my lead to wear tonight. They both pop in different ways. Which one's better?
She kind of crosses her eyes and says, well, I've been looking at the blue of the Winter Worship Grove for a while, so maybe let's change it up. Let's go with the green.
Silvery green it is. Bandella! And he snaps his fingers in this very pretty, but also very chubby and chort and stocky Foxfolk girl, roughly about the same age as Meryl, maybe 1 or 2 years older. She's sewing something in the corner. She looks up and she's got the spectacles on. She goes, yes, darling. And he goes,
Meryl's chosen the one, silver and green. And she goes, aha, see, I told you. And he goes, you did. And he, like, snaps his fingers, and, like, one of the, like, younger fox kids, like, runs over and, like, grabs it and, like, carries it off to have it, like, hemmed.
He is so extra. She grins. She says, I'm always happy to help. My fashion choices might not be with the times. And she kind of, like, motions down to what she's wearing.
And when she does that, like when she motions down to what she's wearing, he like takes her in. He goes, "It's not like you're trying to win best dressed in the woods."
No, I guess you're right.
So, have you heard about my new story?
There have been some mutterings around town.
All right.
But I prefer to hear it directly from you.
Well, picture this. The story opens on a night much like tonight, under a sky full of stars. But these aren't your run-of-the-mill stars, sister. Oh, no. These are cursed stars, each one a tear shed by the gods for a forgotten love lost to time. Tragic, right? Our hero, a dashing young fox lass named Kylina Starborn. I knew you'd love the name. Anyway, she's a humble farmer by day, but by night she's haunted by dreams of a life she never had. Memories of a love that never was. The stars, you see, they call to her, whispering secrets of a great tragedy from eons ago. It's all very romantic, very mysterious.
I can't believe you tease me like that, and I have to wait until I get to see the whole thing.
He leans in closer and his voice drops in and he goes, "The big question of the play. Should one choose love in the face of risking everything? Or is it our moral obligation to sacrifice for the greater good?" It's gonna be a hit. I can feel it. The audience won't know what hit them, literally, if we get the stage effects right. And he like looks over and he goes, "Matthias, you heard me." And like Matthias is like this dude who's just like gives a thumbs up. And suddenly one of the younger performers cartwheels right between the two of them, like avoiding a narrow collision. He's like, "Hey, excuse me, sorry." And he like just keeps going.
God. It just keeps going, didn't even fall. What do you mean by literally?
I mean,
She like kind of looks around warily, like to see if something's gonna come falling from the ceiling.
you might want to not sit in the first 3 rows. I'll just give you a heads up. Blood and gore, my darling sister. Blood and gore.
She laughs. Well, I'll make sure to tell Talia where she should be sitting. She fully wants Talia to get covered in blood and guts. She will try to be subtle about it.
I'll have a seat reserved for her and her family.
Don't bring the family into it.
Fine, I'll make her family sit in the back. She can sit in the front. Her poor mom.
No, it should
Her
be
name, her as of yet unnamed mom. This poor unassociated NPC.
Yes, because I can't not feel bad for all of them. She says, "So you think this is going to be bigger than last year's, huh?"
I know it's going to be. The pre-order tickets alone. Last play, I think I had something like 30 in the audience, and this year it's like something like 100. It's I don't know. People just like my stuff.
Oh, well, gosh, I would say, I hope you do well, but it's not even in question.
No, it's not. Have you talked to the twins since you've been back?
It's funny. I was just gonna brag about how great they're doing in their training. Oh my gosh. Finn basically beat me in an archery contest.
No. I wouldn't tell anybody that if I were you.
Oh, come on. They spend all day up there playing their little shooting games. practicing against each other.
That is true, and I will say it's quite different shooting a moving object, as you know, than it is shooting something stable.
Exactly. Thank you. And she, like,
You're
switches her
welcome.
tail. No, but they seem to be doing well.
Did either of them mention the possibility of travel to you?
Well, Gwen was asking me about whether I had any desire to leave like you did.
Well, Finn was talking about how he was going to leave and travel even farther than I did, but Wynn talked him out of it. You know that Finn won't go anywhere without him, and Wynn's way too practical to let him run off on some crazy adventure. I was the same way at their age, and honestly, part of me kind of supports the idea. I think you all should travel at some point, but they're still too young. I think maybe a few years they'll be ready. But for now, I'm glad Wynn convinced Finn to stay. If he brings it up to you, I would say do what you can to dissuade him. The world's a lot bigger than any of you know.
She nods. She says, well, he didn't get a chance to have an in-depth conversation about it, and Finn was all up in arms about, calling me a cheater with her. Whatever. It's fine.
Wait. Did you cheat?
No, I didn't cheat. I just got a little bit too excited about the game, and then.
Of course you did.
But I'll keep that in mind.
Good.
They do still have a lot to learn.
They do, yes. And how was your hunt?
Oh, it was highly, highly, highly successful. I'm sure that you've heard of all of the provisions that we brought back for the festival tonight.
Being honest, I've been kind of buried in my work.
What? You mean that somebody didn't come through the hall yelling and extolling my skills in hunting? That's rude.
And he, turns around and he goes,
Alexander! I told you to stand in the marketplace and wait for news of my sister's return because I needed to know exactly what food she had brought back so I could espouse her glory to anyone who would listen. And she's standing right here and there was no glory told to me. And Meryl looks over and there's just this 10-year-old fox kid that's just shaking in his boots. And he goes, I'm sorry, Lord Master. And he goes, 12 comeuppance! And then, literally, the boy just, runs outside to go do something that Meryl has no idea what a comeuppance is.
God, she's got that kid in trouble. She watches the kid run off. She looks back at Caro. Well, we didn't get any caribou because we couldn't carry it back on a broken cart. Because she's never going to stop talking about it. Everyone will know that the cart broke. And she says, but we got a bunch of boar and a bunch of rabbits and, your favorite, pheasant.
Oh.
She, nods her head and, wiggles her eyebrows at him.
Speaking of food, did Mom tell you about the garden?
I don't think she did.
Yes. Okay, so get this. The other day, Dad decides he's going to help Mom with her plants. So he's out there, knee-deep in the dirt, trying to impress her by pulling up some weeds, right? Well, instead of pulling up weeds, he ends up yanking up all the prized belt gloves. Mom comes out, sees the mess, of course totally blows her top, and what does Dad do? He just gives her that grin and says, well, they looked like they were growing too fast anyways.
She totally did that on purpose. Yeah, he's upset because, did you know that she was undercooking his pies?
Oh, I've heard about the pies. The passive-aggressive battle of wits going on between the two of them in that house after you moved out is hysterical. That's probably why the boys want to leave.
Honestly, I think you're onto something there.
He replanted them, and she forgave him after, but I'm pretty sure it was after the equivalence of 350 years of bickering. I swear they could be stars on one of my plays if they weren't so busy being themselves.
Some things never change, huh?
And a sudden burst of noise erupts from a corner of the theater where some younger Foxfolk are practicing stunts. One of the performers miscalculates and stumbles close to where Meryl is standing, and Kara's arm instinctively shoots out to block you gently. Watch your paws, Kit.
It was like a complete, like they overshot it.
Yeah.
Like it was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She just kind of laughs and like jumps back because he did the like seatbelt arm
Yeah.
on her.
100%.
And she just kind of jumps back and laughs and says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. Is this what I can expect tonight?"
This and more, if they do it right. And like the kids are like, He's a taskmaster. He's a fucking taskmaster. And like the kid goes back over and they start to like rebuild up on their little body pyramid.
Shit, okay.
And he turns and he's like watching him. He goes, a little better. And then he goes, Theodore, sturdy! Sturdy! And then like turns and like looks back at Meryl. And he goes, you know what I was thinking about the other day? Do you remember that time you snuck onto stage during my first big performance? You were, 6? Stole the whole show with that little improvised dance. I nearly died. Gods, I was mad. And I swear half the audience thought it was planned.
It's one of my most shining moments of my acting career, I think. It's too bad that I wasn't able to keep it up, huh?
No. But I did let you take that bow, didn't I? It didn't hurt that the audience thought I'd planned it. When I think back now, that's what I remember. That funny little dance. Mom and Dad laughing. I don't even remember my lines.
She looks thoughtful for a second and says, well, you won't have to worry about me overshadowing you this time. It's your big night.
Like that.
I'm too old to do that kind of stuff anyways. I just want to see you succeed.
And he goes...
She like gives him a big grin.
And he goes, you say that, but why do I think that there's a part of you that plans on rushing the stage tonight?
How did you figure that out? I've only been back for 12 hours.
Well, if you do, I just want you to know I'm going to pick you up and throw you into the sky.
Don't doubt it. I'm surprised that we've been talking this long without you bringing up your recent success with a certain missing device that's used to brush hair.
And his head just like whips over and like looks at her, and his ears perk up and he grins and he's like, ha ha! So you've heard the tale of the silver comb. One for ages.
I have.
Truly, I'm thinking of titling it The Curious Kit and the Misplaced Glory. A thrilling mystery complete with the most dashing of protagonists. Me.
It's a pretty good name.
I know. I'm the best at titles, no one better. When I returned it to Miss Featherfist, she was so happy I half expected the villagers to lift me up on their shoulders and parade me through the streets. They didn't, but they probably should have.
Clearly.
It's not every day you get to be the hero of someone else's story, even if it's just over a comb. Besides, it's nice to feel like I'm making a difference, even in the smallest ways.
Yeah. No, the Foxfolk are fun. I like these little guys that we have here.
On stage, one of the younger performers stumbles awkwardly during a rehearsal scene and nearly knocks over a prop. Dania, the performer from the very beginning who was like sort of orchestrating and directing all of the people, shouts out, all right, that's it. Let's take 5, everyone. Beffa, you've got to be more careful with your footing. Caro's eyes flick between Meryl and the stage, and he sighs, and he says, I think the soul of the story is calling me.
She nods, and she says, wait, I have one question before I leave.
What is it?
What was your offering again?
For the festival? To an Iraq?
Mm-hmm.
I wrote her a story. I took that story out into the woods. As I let the feeling of the mushrooms take me, I read it to her, and then I burned it so that she would be the only one to hear it. And then I did my best to forget what I wrote
Meryl shakes her head and she says, "Oh, I'm never going to be able to compete with that."
Well, my dear sister, no one can. You have to compete with yourself. That's the
No one
important part.
can. Has ever bested Caro in their offering. She sighs. She kind of stuffs her boot on the ground and says, "Okay. Well, you will see me in the audience later tonight.
Wonderful. Remember,
It's not in the first 3 rows."
back row. And he like
Far
reaches
away
out
from-
and like scritches the top of your head between your ears.
She smiles, pats him on the hand, and says, "All right, we'll get back to it." Turns and leaves.
And as she turns to leave, she hears Caro like do like theater snaps. And he's like, "All right, everyone. Eyes up here, eyes on me. Everyone look at me. That's right. Beffa, what you did wasn't wrong, but the move was a twirl at the end, not a bounce. Now watch me. And 1." Meryl like watches him for a moment as he like performs the move like for the children, like so they can see it done properly.
She's smiling to herself. He's in his element and she's happy for him. She's glad that he's found his place in the community and that he's able to bring light and joy, especially on such an important occasion. And she kind of thinks about the kids who are participating because they're actual, like he's got like children up there, right?
Mhm.
So I think she has like a flashback of Finn and Wynn in one of Caro's plays, like dressed up respectively as like a tree and a shrub.
Yes.
And
yes. Yes.
She just kind of like laughs to herself, thinking about how.
And like Meryl waddles in as a rock, and she's
Yeah.
just super fat, like not like actually, but like padded, like just like as like
Yeah.
a super wide rock, like doot, 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 doot.
It was like a forest play.
Yep.
She laughs and thinks about how the kids will just have great memories of this, and she heads out.
And as she heads out, across the village, the familiar welcoming hum of flutes and the rhythmic beat of drums begins to grow, as one by one, the doors of the quaint homes creak open, and villagers emerge, bundled in their finest festival cloaks, faces alight with anticipation for the evening's festivities. Meryl watches the village come alive in a burst of color and sound. She feels it then, a bubbling sense of joy rising within her. It's impossible not to be swept up in the shared excitement. She takes a deep breath, feeling the chill of the evening air fill her lungs, and she steps forward, letting herself be pulled into the dance of the night. To be continued in Prime Arcana, Session 0.9, Harvest.
I'm excited.
Why is it so ominous?
It is.
Why is it so
Truly.
ominous?